Thank you so much for wanting to talk to us and tell us a bit about Manufacturing Institute, the work that you're doing, and how it relates to college completion.
Okay, happy to. Clearly have a lot of passion on our nation's manufacturers, and I do recognize that sort of our nation's economy, our national security, our economic security is really grounded in a strong industrial base. And for decades, manufacturers have had a difficult time finding qualified workers. And even at the height of the recession, 1/3 of our nation's manufacturers could not find workers. And from our perspective, that gets to the gap between supply and demand. Individuals not having the skills that they need to enter into and advance in careers in manufacturing. So our approach actually is right at the heart of what the college completion agenda is. It is using industry-based standards, and in our case, manufacturing credentials, nationally portable credentials, in the education pathway, actually embedding them in 4-credit programs so that individuals coming through and advancing can get the skills that industry says that they need. That entire catchphrase in college completion that's about labor market value, we've defined what that value is for manufacturers. So recognizing we are a nation of working learners, our approach allows individuals to move in and out of the education pathway, get the skills that they need, get academic credit, and then equally work and advance concurrently. So we actually just established a goal last week with the president to credential 500,000 workers in the next 5 years. And what we recognize, it's a need for manufacturers. It's a need for the workers because manufacturing is in fact our high quality middle class jobs. It pays a premium. It contributes to the tax base. It contributes to the communities, and manufacturing as an industry really is what makes us solid economically.
Is this a new development to bring to community colleges a different pathway, a more structured pathway that could lead to workforce readiness?
That's a great question. We selected, when we decided that we were going to use this approach of industry-based standards, we really picked our nation's community colleges as the gateway. We had a brief moment in which we thought, let's go back and change the K-12 system, and then we thought, well, community colleges are really uniquely positioned because they drive down into the K-12 system and feed up into 4-year institutions. They're that bridge. They're also positioned as economic engines in their community where they're really designed to be responsive to business. And the metric that we have inserted into that very traditional academic process is an industry definition of success. And what we have done with our schools that are partners as part of the completion agenda and post-secondary success is much of the, we don't care how you get the student there, the credential becomes the value in the labor market. So it neutralizes the instructor who says to us, don't tell me how to teach, tell me what you expect at the end. And we found that sort of a non-threatening enabler to all partners. For industry, all of a sudden, these credentials, you know, there are 450 plus in manufacturing. How could an employer understand 450 different measurements and assessments, let alone diversity in an education system? And we picked five that just start at the foundation. If you just start with these 5, you're going to have individuals that show up on time, can read and write, understand fundamentals in manufacturing, and can enter in and be productive on day 1. And all of those have real market value metrics for business. And the metric for the student is, did I get the job? For the college, it gives them instant feedback of whether or not what they're teaching is actually to an industry standard without us having to go through, you know, some analysis of curriculum. It empowers the institutions to be proactive on redefining what success and completion looks like.
So what could it look like for an institution that's a partner? What's different? They obviously they want students to read and write and know how to show up and be timely and responsible. Where is this playing out in the curriculum and the college pathway?
It's interesting. We've seen this approach incredibly empowering for the diversity in the education system. We have, with the support of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Post-Secondary Success, we have 4 very different models, one in Texas, one in Ohio, one in Washington, and one in North Carolina. And our approach was find a champion community college and then have a strategy for statewide deployment, that sort of two-level get to demonstration and then sustainability. And in each one of those colleges, the approach has been very different. In the case of Alamo colleges in Texas, it's actually a feeder system from a career academy that serves at-risk young people. And we just had a graduate, Ruby Vega, at the event with the president. And Ruby is now graduated from high school with 36 credit hours, is enrolled in community college in an articulation program that'll lead her to an engineering degree, and is a full-time student and a full-time employee of Lockheed Martin. You know, Lockheed Martin paid to bring her to Washington because it's good business for them to invest in their individuals. That's very different than in North Carolina, where the alignment of the credentials in the programs have led to what's called a super SIP, a curriculum improvement process. In North Carolina, under the leadership of Dr. Scott Rawls and his team and the presidents, they actually are rationalizing a common core of curriculum for manufacturing. So, you know, they used to have a bunch of programs. They'll end up, you know, probably 2 years from now, a common core that's grounded in an industry certification. So community college in one part of the state versus a community college in another part of the state can actually meet the local employer need. You know, 80%, we often talk that 80% of what manufacturers need at the foundational level is the same, and we spend 100% of our time arguing over the 20% difference that make it my way. And we fundamentally believe, and I think this is a reflection of post-secondary success, that the right role for public investment, for the public good, is that 80% common.